Hello, welcome everyone to the FPL video. My name is Mo, and today what I'll be going through is the player watch list for game week 6. So we'll be reviewing players to bring in, players to take out. There's a lot of knee-jerk reactions going on at the moment, some fixture swings around the corner, so wildcard potentials coming in as well. So what we'll be doing is identifying key players to bring in, or maybe take out, avoid, or keep a lookout for. So we'll review all that, and we'll also go through some fixture swings and which teams in the next 5 game weeks have better fixtures. So that's all in today's video. So before we get into the video, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to the FPL channel so far, please hit that subscribe button and subscribe to FPL INKLING. Right, so before we get stuck into the players, why not discuss the fixtures? So what I've done is I've highlighted a couple of fixtures, which is, let's say, the next 5 game weeks for the teams listed on the screen. Now, this isn't any specific order in terms of alphabetical, but what I've done is I've ascended it in the easiest fixtures for teams from the top, and the team at the bottom, which is Manchester United, who have the most difficult fixtures, according to the FPL fixture predictor, in terms of difficulty, from easy to difficult. So let's look at Leeds. So by the predictor, they've got a lot of greenery and the odd grey. So they've got West Ham this weekend, followed by Watford at home, Southampton away, and Wolverhampton home and Norwich away. So, teams with fixtures like these, can actually determine which teams to target in terms of multiple players, tripling up as well potentially, or choosing a captain from that team specifically. I mean, a lot of people have their eyes on Chelsea at the moment. They have Manchester City this weekend, but after that is where their kind of favourable fixture swing starts, and it will continue further from these next 5 game weeks. But I've only done it up to the 5 game weeks, so I think it's essential for us to identify the current trend for other teams as well, and who to bring in and who to avoid as well. But going by the difficulty itself, maybe Manchester United is the team to kind of avoid for the next couple of game weeks. We'll get into all that, and I'll go through all the players that I've highlighted and identified from the current games that have taken place in game week 5. So the first player is Marcos Alonso. So I've watched him quite carefully this season. My first kind of reservation around him was the minutes he would play. Obviously, they've got Ben Chilwell, Azpilicueta, so they've got quite a few, let's say, players for one position. I didn't really know what kind of formation they'll be sticking to. Would there be any changes from Tuchel? Has he gone out of favour due to the whole Lampard saga? But he's got the minutes back, and he's actually proved himself as a very good asset for Chelsea so far in terms of their defensive performances, in terms of their attacking performances. He's really delivered, and he had more shots in the box than Kane did in the game week against Spurs. So, which that shows you, as a wing back, he's pretty much nailed on to not only get the defensive points, which Chelsea are at the moment achieving in terms of clean sheets, but also attacking returns as well. So let's go through some of the underlying stats for him, so I can read them out to you. At the moment, his price is increased to 5.8 mil. His ownership at the time of recording is around 17.5%. 38 points this season, 7.6 points per match. His expected assist is 0.66, and his expected goals is 0.78, which is impressive numbers for a defender who can bring home clean sheets as well. Now, for me, I'm not personally looking to bring him in for the Manchester City game. Yes, there's a lot of people predicting a 0-0 or a 1-0, but it's going to be an interesting game. There can be some more goals. City can exploit, or I think they're one of the 2 teams, along with, let's say, Liverpool, that I think can exploit the Chelsea defence. Obviously, Liverpool are the only team to score against Chelsea, and it was a penalty. But from open play, I reckon Manchester City can indeed challenge them. Yes, they had a bad result as a draw at home against Southampton, but they'll be back with some vengeance, I'd say, and a point to prove to all football fraternity as well. But after the Man City game, look at the game fixtures that they have. Southampton at home, Brentford away, Norwich at home, Newcastle away. So 2 of the promoted clubs will be played. There's going to be nailed on captaincy options from Chelsea, and it might not even be a bad shot if you want to go differential in terms of one of their defenders being a captain for one of those game weeks. We'll just have to wait and see. I think rotation isn't a concern at the moment for me, but with the kind of like League Cup and Champions League games coming in and out, will there be some rotation by Tuchel? But if he does get some minutes against Man City and he performs well, then I might just be tempted to bring him in for game week 7, where I might look to kind of like get 1 or 2 players, even 3 potentially, from Chelsea at the moment. So that's Alonso for you. attacking returns along with defensive points, I think it's a really good choice to consider. But maybe avoid him for the Man City game. That's just the only skippability or the kind of like drawback I see from him at the moment. But there's no doubt, despite how well they've played, they can come away with a clean sheet against Man City. Now, moving along to his defensive partner, Rudiger. So out of all of the Chelsea defenders, I'd say he's probably the most nailed on to play week in, week out. But then again, they've got such richness of, talent and, let's say player power in terms of performance all over the pitch. They're all playing as a unit that anyone can be, brought in or brought out. And rotation can take place. So are they becoming the next Man City in terms of rotation? Potentially, because they just have that much talent to bring into their squad. But I think out of all the players, he's pretty much nailed on to play week in, week out. 5.5 mil, 10.6% ownership. Got a goal against Spurs, wasn't expecting that, but it was a really good goal and well taken. 33 points so far this season, 6.6 points per match he's receiving at the moment. His expected assists, we can say 0.15 at the moment and 0.15 for expected goals as well, respectively. I think after the Man City game, he potentially could be someone on my radar as well. Am I going to double up on Chelsea defence? From the fixtures that I'm seeing, potentially yes. But then again, we have to wait for like injuries or, the international break to really make our decision. But there's no reason why we can overlook him as well. I think he's done really well. He's settled in well into the team. And I think, there's a really good chance that he can deliver some really good points over the next 5 to 6 game weeks, maybe even longer until their stretch goes on to like game week 11 or 12 before the kind of difficult fixtures arrive for Chelsea. But are there any difficult fixtures for Chelsea at the moment? I'm not really sure. Despite it saying, like a cherry red for Manchester City, I think it might be a game which they can see off and get some, clean sheet points for Rudiger as well. So that's why I've included him in my players to watch. And I think, a lot of managers are considering potentially bringing him in even their wild cards, which can be looked to be played after this game week takes place. Now, moving on to the, let's say, powerhouse of the weekend from the midfield, Ismail Saar. So, again, there's a lot of talk around him, how well he's done, how well he started. And, he proved a point this week. He got 15 points respectively. And there's no doubt that he could have got more, with a few good touches or finishes as well. He's got Newcastle next at home, who defensively have been quite weak, along with Norwich this season. So I can expect him to carry his good form over, and then Leeds as well. So two of the defences which have leaked the most goals, along with Norwich. He's playing in the next couple of game weeks, and he's hit form at the right time. He's been transferred in quite heavily this game week, and he's had an increase in price to 6.1 mil. Kind of the main man at Watford. We're yet to see if he's on penalties, so there's even that likelihood that he can be on there. A really big bonus. So we just have to wait and see how he carries that form over. We can go through some underlying stats. So 30 points at the moment so far, 6 points per match he's averaging, and expected assists are 0.37 and expected goals is 2.20. So I think there's a really good chance that he can get you some returns, and if you're looking for some changes for Rafinha, he might be the ideal replacement, and it can free up a couple of let's say 0.4 mil for you to invest elsewhere in your squad. Yes, he has Liverpool in game week 8, and then Everton in 9, and then Southampton in 10. So we'll just have to wait and see how he performs. And he's kind of like the main man and the talisman for Watford and carries their potential threat. Now, moving on to the next player who impressed me the most this game week that's gone by, which was Maximin. So despite not having Callum Wilson, I think personally he carried the kind of, the baton for attacking, or attack, I should say, for Newcastle. They came away with 1-1. He so easily could have scored more goals. Potentially could have had a penalty as well, which was ruled out by VAR and the referee. But let's look at his fixtures as well. Some really good fixtures lined up. Watford away, Wolverhampton away, Tottenham at home. Now, Tottenham haven't been in the best of form since the restart after the international break. Yes, they won their first 3 games. Were they as convincing? Even against Wolves, they weren't. They won that game. So we have to see, can they catch some form even after their North London derby before they play Newcastle in game week 8. Then they've got Crystal Palace followed by Chelsea. Now, from a defensive point of view, I don't expect much from Newcastle, but this is the attacking form via Maximin. Now, he can stay fit. I reckon he's going to be a really good asset for you to own. And at 6.7 mil, he's owned by around 12% of managers already at the time of recording. 27 points so far this season, 5.2 points per match. And let's look at his underlying stats. 1.03 expected assists and 0.83 is his expected goals at the moment. So he looks really threatening, kind of like the only kind of source for goals, attacking assists and points to be gained from Newcastle. And I think he's played really well to warrant, managers considering him a lot more heavily. Again, I was tempted to bring him in for the Watford game, but, I'm looking at my front line and the only person I can actually even consider moving at the moment is potentially Bamford because of injury. But we'll still have to wait on his injury front at the moment. Can I be tempted to bring him in last minute? Could be, but will I take a -4 for St. Maximin? I just have to wait and see because Leeds have a good fixture as well. We just have to be patient with the news, and let's say if I knee jerk or not, we'll just have to wait and see. But otherwise, he's done really well, and he can come in for like the odd week as well for me, like I did for Danny Ings for Antonio. But again, a good start for him. I hope he builds on and stays injury free. He's going to be a real good asset for Newcastle and their hopes for staying up in the Premier League. Last but not least, why not Aaron Ramsdale? Could he be I think he is, or could be the number one for Arsenal at the moment. 2 clean sheets in 2 games in the Premier League and 1 in the League Cup against West Brom. Now, 4.5 mil, not bad at all. He's coming up in the likes of, Sanchez, Guaita, same price bracket. And they've looked a lot more solid since he's come in. He's owned by 1.3% of managers at present. 15 points, so 7.5 points per match at the moment, which is impressive. And, clean sheets speak for themselves. They'll get you the points, and he'll get bonus points as well for saves and man of the match performances if he plays through. In terms of fixtures, they've got a difficult game in the North London derby this weekend against Tottenham, but then Brighton away, who's done well so far this season, and they've kind of been a bit more kind of assured in terms of their performances. Now, previously they have played well against Arsenal. Everyone remembers that Neil Maupay incident with Leno, and then him scoring that penalty in the kind of stoppage time, and winning that game for Brighton, which is a key game for them to staying in the Premier League at the Amex. So there's no reason why Arsenal can't be tested in that game. Then Crystal Palace at home, Aston Villa away, and Leicester away. So a bit of mixture in terms of fixtures, but something where he can really achieve some clean sheets and potentially get you some really good points as well, and a good differential aspect as well. But I think people are still a bit hesitant of whether Leno could get his spot back as a number one. But there's no harm in us looking into him, and potentially could be a good differential for managers if they decide to choose him as their kind of like goalkeeper, even if they're second choice as well, if they want to bring him in and play him and have a reserve keeper on the bench like a Sanchez or Guaita, just in case he doesn't get the minutes. You have that part covered in that respect. So let's just go back to the fixtures and have a look. Which teams are we looking to kind of focus upon in terms of players to be brought in from their watch list? So we discussed some players that I'm looking at and I think you should be considering, but teams to avoid. Manchester City could be some assets to avoid at the moment. They've got Chelsea away, followed by Liverpool, Burnley at home, Brighton and Crystal Palace. So maybe game week 8 you could start targeting doubling up or maybe even tripling up. So someone like a Diaz, Cancelo, I would say could be from the defensive options. Midfield, obviously Grealish will probably be most nailed on to play, along with Kevin De Bruyne. And up front you've got Jesus as well. So there's a few good players we could really target from there, despite having 2 difficult fixtures in the next few game weeks. Manchester United, am I going to say completely avoid him? I don't think so at the moment. I think until you don't get to that Liverpool game, it's probably going to be a bit more of a decision to make. Now, for me, am I looking to get rid of Ronaldo for the Everton game? I'm not too sure. Everton, have leaked some goals against Aston Villa. It's probably going to be a knee-jerk from me. If I want to get him in, I will. But I'm looking at the Chelsea game against Southampton at home. But Southampton have done well. They got to clean sheet and gave Manchester City a really good game. And they played well against Manchester United, where they drew as well. So they've given really good performances so far this season defensively and in terms of attack as well. So we'll just have to wait and see what I decide in terms of Lukaku versus Ronaldo, because that's probably the biggest decision I'll be making. And I know people say it's an easy decision based on fixtures. But let's be honest with you. Let's look at, rather than Manchester United, have a look at Ronaldo versus those teams. Can he score against Villa? Yes. Everton? Yes. Leicester? Yes. Liverpool? I mean, yes, I think he can. Tottenham, who haven't done so well so far in the last couple of game weeks. Again, yes, he can score. So potentially his goals can be scored in every game by Ronaldo. He does have the tendency to grow into games which are difficult and get the odd goal, which matters. So it's not about how many chances they have. It's these guys are good at taking the chances they get. So that's the decision to make. And obviously Liverpool, they've got mixtures of games, games such as Brentford, Watford and Brighton. And they've got Manchester clubs in between, such as City in 7 and Game Week 9, Manchester United. But Leicester, are they being overlooked? They're not bad in terms of fixtures, guys. Burnley home, Crystal Palace away, so maybe Jamie Vardy. Can be considered Harvey Barnes. I'll be overlooking these guys. I think Jamie Vardy's nailed on to start game weeks, week in, week out. There was that skepticism around the start of the season, but he's getting the minutes in. So it might not be a bad shout to, even look at them in terms of regular in. So we talked about Ramsdale, one other players from Arsenal. So, Pepe, Odegaard scored an amazing free kick, Smith Rowe, Saka, Aubameyang. There are a lot of options for us to go through. I mean, I have my reservations against Aubameyang because his price is high, and I think there's better options for that price in the game. But, maybe are we overlooking Arsenal assets? We'll just have to wait and see. The more we see, the better we will feel. But I think definitely after the Tottenham game, they've got some really good fixtures that can be targeted indeed. So that's my video basically, guys, on the players to watch for this game week 6, which is only a couple of days away from the first game that kicks off, which is the Manchester City versus Chelsea game, the lunchtime kickoff on Saturday. So let me know what your thoughts are. What players are you looking at? Have I made things easier in terms of the fixture swings to make you guys decide your decisions? What wildcard thoughts are you having? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments section. If you haven't liked the video so far, give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed to FPL INKLING, just hit that subscribe button to help us grow our channel and join the league with the league code underneath my screen. I want you guys to take care, stay tuned for some more content, and we'll be doing some live Q&A this week at some point as well.